Thank you very much. I'm an investigative documentary filmmaker, and my job is to go out, or the job I've created for myself, is to go out into the world and find social issues and human rights issues that need exposing. And I've made it my focus and commitment to go out there and try and bring this to a global audience. I've been described as an investigative undercover journalist, but I actually see myself as a documentary filmmaker. What happens is I come up with an idea for a film, I write a proposal, and I take that film to Channel 4 or the BBC, and I say, this is what I want to do. We then fight about what I'm doing, what it costs, what the schedule is. But generally speaking, each film takes about a year to make. And I go out with a very small crew. It's me, a cameraman, generally a translator, because I shoot all over the world as well as in the UK. And by the very nature of the subjects that I've selected, we have small equipment. So whenever we enter a country to make a film, we divide up. We go in at different entry points through passport control. We divide up the equipment. We've got small cameras, generally secret cameras, but also small, normal cameras that we've adapted, that are broadcast but look like tourist cameras. We go through individually, we reunite in the hotels, we put all the equipment together, and then we've got professional kit. But if we're picked up coming through customs, I wouldn't look like a filmmaker. I'd look like a bit of a geeky tourist with a few extra bits and pieces. It wouldn't look like I'm there to make a professional film. When we get into the country, we then operate quietly around the country. We never have permission. We're always on tourist visas, not journalist visas. And I go in to seek the truth. I go to document the truth. That's my job. And what I want to show you this morning are a couple of extracts out of two different films. And I want to show you the power of television. This is what I chose as a career once the first film I'm going to show you had the impact it had. It's a film called The Dying Rooms, and it's set in China. And I went into China to look at the impact of the one-child policy. And I knew through research that thousands of baby girls were being abandoned into the orphanages because families preferred to have the boy. It was more prestigious, better for their pension, better for them later in life to have a boy. So the short extract I'm going to show you is not the film itself. The film was a 90-minute documentary that went out on Channel 4. This is a 2-minute shortened version, and what I've done is taken images, they're cut to music, but I want you to just take on board the power of imagery. There are some distressing images in this, of which I don't think you'll particularly want to sit and look at, but I want you to. I want you to stay where you are, and I want you to just digest what you're looking at. We only have to look at it, whereas the kids have to live it.
It's been 7 hours and 50 days since you took your love away. I go out every night and sleep all day since you took your love away. Since you've been gone, I can do whatever I want. I can see whomever I choose. I can eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant, but nothing, I said nothing can take away this blues. 'Cause nothing compares to you.
it hurts, doesn't it? It hurts when you look at children, babies, toddlers, who are dependent on adults. They need adults to lead them through life and take care of them. When you see that, I'm imagining you feel silence now. You don't really want to speak. If I asked you a question now, you really wouldn't want to answer anything right now. You feel the pain, perhaps, of what you've just witnessed. But they have to live it. And we're the ones letting them down, i.e. we the adults. We're the ones doing this to them. In you, I'm expecting you to feel pain. But I also hope that there's something in you that feels a bit of anger. Think, why? Why does that happen? Why? We're civilized. Why does that happen? And I hope that through feeling potentially some anger, you would want to go and do something about that. When that film went out, it was actually screened in 42 countries, seen by 120 million people. And I had a phenomenal reaction to that film. It was the first time I realized the power of television. And it set me off on my course for life. That film taught me the power of television. There was an absolute media outcry. Journalists from all over the world piled into China. They wanted answers. Ministers, governments, MPs, European members of parliament, all went into China wanting answers. I got a phone call from the White House. This is the White House. Is that Kate Blewett? Yeah. We'd like to connect you with Hillary Clinton. Really? Great. It was Hillary Clinton. And she took that film into China and showed it at the Women's Conference in Beijing years ago. She had the strength, and she stood and went out of her comfort zone and showed that film in front of millions of Chinese and the Politburo, and she stood out, and she was incredibly brave. Whether you like her or not, she was brave, and she did that. And as a result of that, it had a huge impact within China, as well as the impact of the film outside of China, because China never showed that film. But there was a media outcry. Adoptions went up 7,000% out of China into America. Volunteers went into China, doctors, physiotherapists, teachers. The UN made it a #1 priority to go into China and try and fix the orphanages. That program hit the world, and the world then picked it up and ran with it. I had floor-to-ceiling mail in probably 3 rooms about the size of this old cinema, and we didn't have the internet, so we had to answer those letters. It took us 3 years to get through all those letters, because it was literally opening every single envelope and sending a receipt back. But what happened was people united to help the children in China, and that was because that film, The Dying Room, so not that film, but the 90-minute film, took the lid off what was going on in China with the one-child policy. So since then, I've made it my life works to continue to make these kinds of films. And I've been to over 70 countries and made many, many films looking at the exploitation, abuse, neglect of men, women, and children. Specifically children is a focus that draws me. And I've looked at the illegal organ transplant industry, slavery, bonded labor, children in prison, old people in our country who fall through all the nets and are flat on their faces on the pavement, yet they fought for their country and we don't look after them. Young children in our country growing up with drug-addicted parents, heroin addicts, how they cope. All these are different films that I've focused on, and every single film has a purpose. And the purpose is to bring about positive change. Every film has that. I want positive change, and I want to have some sort of message to put out to the audience. So when I edit my films, I edit them with a very specific purpose. I want to take everybody right up to the point where they can't take any more, and then I let them off the hook. Then I take them back up again, then I let them off the hook. And I take them, kind of like labor, right to the end of the film and try and hold them. So by the time they get to the end of the film, they feel really emotional, but angry. And anger brings about action. And this is what I want to bring to you today. I want to teach you that we can all make a difference. I am one person. I am a you. I could have not done any of this. And then none of these films would have been made. And a lot of the situations would not have been brought to a global awareness. I think to sort of move out of your comfort zone and to do something that you wouldn't normally do is what can teach you what you can do. I want to move across to Bulgaria. It's a member of the EU, very important that it's a member of the EU when you see these images. But I went to Bulgaria because I learned that they had more institutionalized children there than anywhere else in Europe, and that was my starting point for the film. So I took the idea to the BBC, and I said, this is what I want to make, this is how I want to do it. And I went into Bulgaria, and I spent a week every month for 9 months and made a 90-minute film. What I'm going to show you now is an accumulation of images from that film, but the carol on it is sung by a 12-year-old girl who donated her voice to me. She watched the film, and she didn't know what to do with the grief she was feeling from the film. So she emailed me, and she said, I'm giving you my voice if you can do anything with it. And I used her voice and recorded this that you will hear, and used it as a fundraising project after the film went out. So my role is now divided. I do 2 things. I make the films, and then afterwards, I campaign, probably for the rest of my life, because most of these things don't go away. So it's a dual job, and it's a little bit, as we've been hearing earlier today, over and over, which is kind of sometimes we make our jobs. This isn't in the job description book. But I want to show you this piece out of Bulgaria. And again, it's distressing viewing.
In the bleak midwinter, frosty winds made my What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what I can I give my heart.
Because that documentary went out on television, dozens and dozens of European MPs went into Bulgaria and put it on the top of the agenda, saying, you cannot have institutes like these. These are state-run institutes. These children are in the hands of the government. They are in care. This is not a concentration camp. This is for growth. This is for the children to grow. These are mentally or physically disabled children who are the most vulnerable. This film led to UNICEF stepping in and actually doing something instead of standing on the sidelines, not knowing about it. People don't go in and seem to see this. I've never understood that. I don't know why. But what happened as a result of this film is that we're a lot more educated, we're a lot more aware of what is going on. And as a direct result, the institute that I filmed in, Mogilino, was shut. All the young people in the film were moved to other institutes, some better, some roughly the same, but Mogilino, which was a hellhole, was shut. And the media picked it up, and the Bulgarian media picked it up, and the people of Bulgaria learned that this was what was going on inside their institutes. So this amazing tool, television, when used like this, can have such a monumental impact on the subjects that we focus on. Absolutely staggering. And I just want to call you all to action and say, you know what? Get out there. Get off your hamster wheel at some point, your safe zone. Step off it and do something that takes you out of your comfort zone. And after both the China film and the Bulgarian film, I set up charities and founded 2 charities to bring help back into China and Bulgaria, which are running today. We run volunteer programs. We take students in. You work with the kids. You work with the staff. You learn about the country, the culture, the food, the life, and you're doing something. And you might just feel something here that changes your lives, that changes fundamentally who you are. But you don't know that yet. And I was you once. We were all teenagers once. But this is out there. You don't have to go and do this. This is very distressing, but you can do something. Every one of us can make a difference. Whatever our size, shape, introvert, extrovert, scientific, sports, whoever we are, we can make a difference in this world. And I think that if we can lead a life with a sense of purpose, then our life is really, really worth living. We've got decisions to make, and there are so many places you can go. You can work with kids with AIDS, you can work with kids in orphanages and institutes, you can work with kids without parents, you can just go and play with them, you can go and do things to help others, and it's a really great way to make a difference. I use television, I campaign, and I fundraise, and there's a real sense of purpose to my life. And I ask you all today to just always remember that it's better to light a single candle than to curse the darkness. Get out there and do something, and you will change the very fabric of your body. Thank you very much.